have a wonderful auntie called Tanya. She's my Auntie Tan. But when I was 12, she had a brain hemorrhage. Thankfully, before she lost consciousness, she was able to call 999. The operator sent an ambulance to her home, where the paramedics broke down her door and took her to the nearest A&E. There were a team of doctors there waiting to diagnose her and give her that initial treatment that she needed. She was later transferred to a specialist hospital for her ongoing care. That is logistics. That, and our amazing NHS, means that I can stand here today and tell you that she's busy planning her wedding and incredibly impatiently, really impatiently, awaiting the arrival of her first grandchild. Logistics really is the lifeblood of all of our lives. When we say the word logistics, it's not a story like my auntie's which comes to mind. It's probably an image of men in high-vis jackets moving boxes. Or it's probably the trucks parked up at the side of the road. But the truth is, it's the lifeblood of all of our lives. Yes, it gets you that dress just in time for your big speech. But it also means that our hospitals have the blood that they need. That if your loved one ever needed a heart transplant and the donor was the other side of the country, that could still happen. You can walk into supermarkets and find products on the shelves. You can pop into your chemist and get the medication that you need. If we took a minute to think about everything logistics underpins, could you imagine what our lives would be like without logistics? It really is the lifeblood of all of our lives. The problem is, our perceptions, our stereotypes of the industry means it attracts a very similar type of person. So we sit in an echo chamber. We all think and we all act the same way. We lack diversity of thought. And history has told us that a lack of diverse thinking is dangerous. A Yale psychologist coined the term groupthink. And he did that when he was describing the political disaster known as Bay of Pigs in 1961. It was a plan that was developed by the CIA to overthrow Fidel Castro, to halt the spread of communism into the Western world. It was a disaster. And sadly, over 1,000 people lost their lives. It was seen as a huge embarrassment for the US on the international stage. And why did it fail? Because we didn't have anyone who challenged the plan. Everyone was masking how they really felt and simply went along with it. So in the aftermath, Kennedy changed his administration to rid it of group thought, to encourage diverse thinking. He did a number of things. So he introduced someone known as a sceptical generalist. Their job was to look at the problem as a whole. They didn't sit in any particular department and therefore didn't come in with a certain mindset. He also ensured that meetings happened in really informal situations, so people felt comfortable and confident to speak out. He would also ensure he wasn't in every single meeting, so his opinions didn't influence that of others. He ensured there was diversity of thought. Now, logistics is doing okay. It got me my dress on time. We haven't had our Bay of the Pigs moment yet. But we are at a tipping point. We're seeing huge growth in orders, and customers' expectations are changing. 5 years ago, when you placed an order online, you knew it would arrive at some point, probably within the week. No idea when it was going to turn up, so chances are you weren't in, and you'd have to then go and rescue it from the local post office, or even worse, the courier depot that was never local. But now, our lives are more complicated. We work at a faster pace. We want the retailer to work to our timescale, not theirs. Without diversity of thought, we will not come up with the right solution to that problem. So take, for example, the increase in orders that we're seeing. So far as an industry, our solution has been, it's okay, we'll put some more trucks on the road. But our roads are already too congested. We've got an environmental challenge to face into. And even if we could put more trucks on the road, we've got a massive skill shortage. We don't have the drivers. We must get more diverse thinking to come up with the right solution. And by that, I mean people who think and act differently. So yes, people like me who love structure, logic, organisation. But those who like disorder, bring chaos. Those who studied data science at university, but those who have a real passion for poetry, maybe a retired artist. Can you imagine if that group of people were given the problem to solve of more orders? Would their answer have been, let's put more trucks on congested roads? And I'm not alone in thinking this. Take this quote from the former CEO of Procter & Gamble. All the data we've seen and all of my personal experience convinces me that a diverse organisation will outthink, out-innovate and outperform a homogenous organisation every single time. Winning will come from taking full advantage of our diversity. So excellent, simple. We've got a problem and we've now got a solution. It's diverse thinking, easy. It's not that easy. Bay of Pigs has told us that not only do you need to find those people with diverse thoughts, and that's not easy, but you also have to ensure the environment is right so they feel comfortable and confident to bring their diverse perspectives to the table. I've been on my own journey in getting comfortable and confident with being me. And because the environment hasn't always been right for me, I've had to create coping mechanisms. I wear lots of different masks so I can appear and act confident. So I'm sure all of us in this room at some point have had imposter syndrome or lack of confidence. But for me, it was really quite severe in my early career. For a 30-minute meeting, I could easily think through 50 different ways that was going to go wrong, prep for 40 different questions, and it was exhausting. So I was given a fairly common bit of advice through my career. Fake it until you make it. I was brilliant at it. I had all of these different masks that I could put on. So I could go into meetings, appear confident, and fit in. Only I got so good at it that people never saw the real me. They never heard my opinions and my thoughts. I remember the first time when I needed this skill. It was when I was 10. My parents moved home and they put me into a new school. And I was a shy child, painfully shy. And all of a sudden, I had to join a new school and make new friends. And it was the last year of primary school. So everyone already had their friendship groups. I suddenly had to fit in. I had to be like them. I had to act like them. I just didn't know how. I hadn't got that skill yet of wearing these masks. It was hugely stressful for me. So much so that I started to lose my hair. And I was diagnosed with alopecia. Now, unfortunately, at the time, I wasn't lucky enough to have it as a nice little subtle patch on the back of my head that I could hide. It was slap bang in the middle of my forehead. So, over the years, I've developed this skill to wear my masks. Only one day it didn't work. So I was busy preparing for a meeting that I knew was going to be off-site. There was 15 men there, from logistics, but also from the construction industry. So I got myself ready. I got my mask on. I wore muted colours, flat shoes, wore my hair up, was up to date with all of the latest football gossip. I was ready for this meeting. The site manager joined us, and he made everyone feel welcome by saying hello and shaking their hand. He did that to everyone except me. My mask hadn't worked. I wasn't even acknowledged. I was devastated. Then I got angry and frustrated. And I was exhausted. I was tired of having to wear all of these different masks. So over the years, and it has taken years, I've slowly learnt to take off my masks. Let people see the real me. Hear my diverse opinions and hear my diverse thoughts. Turns out it's made me pretty successful. So I now choose to be the voice in the room that questions and debates. I'm the voice that reminds that group of men they don't actually represent our customers. They probably want something different. I also choose to be feminine. So I will walk into the meeting in my bright red pleated skirt in a room full of men who all wear brown shoes and blue jeans. I choose to be a role model. I choose to let people see me being different, saying different things, and that is what makes me successful. But I need all of your help, not only for my industry, but for all industries who are facing really complex problems and we don't yet know the answer. We as leaders must create the right environment so people don't need to wear masks, so that they can bring their diversity to the table, so it can be heard. One question for you. As leaders, what environment are you creating? How often are you in your comfort zone, surrounded by people who think and act like you? And that's okay. How often are you stepping out of it? How often are you embracing people who think differently? For the logistics industry, it's really important that we do that. Because if we don't, we won't be able to deliver your futures. You won't walk into supermarkets and find the products that you need. Your chemist won't have your medication. And in the future, if your loved one ever called an ambulance, would it still get to hospital on time, like it did for my auntie? Thank you.